Welcome to the Sales and Operations Planning Podcast, where strategy meets execution. This is a show for cross-functional leaders who want to go beyond the process and truly understand what drives effective execution. In each episode, we explore the behaviors, decisions, and leadership practices that turn alignment into real business results. If you're ready to lead with clarity, improve collaboration, and drive better outcomes, this is for you. Today, I'm going to share a story from real-life experience in the boardroom. It's one of those moments that seems small at first, easy to miss, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. We were just outside the room, people gathering, conversations fading as the meeting was about to start. Then I noticed the CEO lean toward the sales VP and quietly say, "Remember what we just agreed." A brief nod, then they walked in. That was it. No big gesture, no announcement. But in that instant, something had shifted. When the meeting began, the numbers came up as expected. The sales target looked clean, confident, almost too neat. And yet, the energy in the room felt different. The CFO didn't react right away. Instead, there was a pause, then a question about the assumptions behind the number. Calm, precise. Not confrontational, but probing. On the other side, the supply chain VP was already connecting the dots. You could see it. Capacity, constraints, risks, things that didn't quite line up with what was being presented. And the rest of the room? They sensed it too. Not because anyone said it directly, but because something didn't feel fully grounded. No one called it out, but everyone knew. The decision had already been shaped before we walked in. And that changes the role of the room. Because S&OP at this level is not just about aligning numbers. It's about building confidence in those numbers. It's about putting the real picture on the table, even when it's uncomfortable. When decisions are made in the corridor, the room becomes a formality, a place to present, not to decide. And once that happens, behavior starts to shift. People become more cautious. Questions become softer. Challenges turn into polite checks instead of real debate. Not because people don't care, but because they're unsure if the conversation is truly open. As a coach, I remember thinking, this isn't about the target anymore. It's about trust. Because trust is what allows S and OP to work. Trust that the numbers reflect reality. Trust that trade-offs are visible. Trust that if something needs to change, it will be discussed openly. Without that, alignment turns into negotiation. And negotiation slowly erodes the foundation of the process. What stayed with me from that moment wasn't that the target changed. That happens all the time. Markets shift, assumptions evolve. That's part of the job. It was how it changed, quietly, outside the room, just enough to influence the outcome without exposing the reasoning. And that's where leadership really shows. Strong leadership teams bring those moments into the room. If a target needs to move, they say it clearly. They walk through the implications. They allow the tension to surface because that's where better decisions are made. They don't rely on side conversations to create alignment. They build alignment in the room, with everyone present. And they understand that every action sets a tone. If transparency matters, it has to be visible. If accountability is expected, it has to be owned in the moment. Because people don't just listen to what leaders say, they watch what they do. That 5-second exchange outside the boardroom carried through the entire meeting, and it left a simple but important question behind. Where does the real conversation happen? In the room where decisions are meant to be made, or just outside the door? Let me leave you with 5 things I recommend to any leadership team ambitioning to run successful S&OP. First, lead it in the room. If a target needs to change, make that decision openly, with the full implications on the table. Second, set the standard. No corridor alignment, no hidden resets. Be clear on trade-offs and strong on accountability. Third, protect trust at the top. Bring the real plan into the room and stand behind it, or change it in full view. Stay focused on trust. Fourth, use the board S&OP for what it is meant to be. A forum for real decisions, not a place to confirm numbers that were already agreed elsewhere. And finally, model the behavior you expect. Say it in the room, not in the corridor. Because in the end, S&OP is not just a process. It's a reflection of how leadership chooses to show up. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on either Spotify or our YouTube channel. I'll see you in the next episode.